Your first love, do you remember what that was like when you met somebody for the very first time and you had these butterflies in your stomach or you just felt all giddy? Those are the moments that you'll never forget. Those are also the moments that through time may have transitioned to some very painful moments, because your first love is the one where you give your life away almost. And to some, they do. It takes me back when I was younger and I fell in love for the first time. It's just the hormones that's released. It's that kind of love. It's a tender love that when you meet somebody for the very first time, it changes you. It's almost like you fall under a spell. Beauty and the Beast comes to mind. Another thing that comes to mind is whenever you meet that person, you have a burst of emotions, and those emotions can lead you in so many different places and touch your heart in so many different ways. But what it leads to a lot of times with your first love is an obsession. It could be an addiction, and it could also destroy your life because you're giving yourself completely away to someone you think you can trust. I remember when I fell in love with someone, I told myself, I'm going to do everything to make this right. And little did I know, within a month and 2 weeks, I found out that they weren't as committed to me as I was to them. And it was one of those experiences where I felt like, why did this have to happen to me? Like, what did I do wrong? And that's where it comes down to the individual. The individual or the person that we get ourselves involved in, we don't really know them. And a lot of people jump into relationships without thinking. They lead with their heart, but that's the mammal side of our brain. That's the instinctual part where, we were born to survive and to reproduce. Instinctively, when you fall in love, we're attracted to appearance. We're also attracted to things of that person that we may lack, we may desire to have, we may want. They may be an amazing communicator. They may be somebody that has a very kind heart. They may remind you of someone that meant something to you. And so many different factors play into you wanting to continue or speak to someone that you think may be that one. And little did I know, I thought the same thing. You expect the best, so the best should come back. There was a saying that I used to always say, whenever things are hard, it only gets better. Boy, was I wrong. If the other person chooses to remain the same as they currently are, and there's no changing on their side, if that person sees everything as a problem and they always point the finger at you, it leads for a very bad relationship long term. It'll never go anywhere. At least it will never go where you would love it to go or like it to go. And a lot of people end up in relationships that they're just so unhappy. But it always starts from your first love. Who were you and what did you become? What did you think after your first love? Did it change the way you felt about dating, about men, or about a special woman? A lot of those questions exist within inside of you, but a lot of times we overlook what we could do in our own life so that when we do find the right person, we've already checked the boxes in our own life that we've addressed. So dating nowadays is like the stock market. It's picking and choosing based on what looks good. I was with them for over four years off and on. And I was in love with this person. I was young too. This was back in high school. This person cheated on me, and I'm glad they did. I would thank them for it because it really helped me and put in perspective that I didn't deserve to be with somebody that didn't respect themselves. A person that can cheat on somebody, it shows that they don't have self-control. And it's a very dangerous thing to be with someone that can't contain themselves and their own desires when they're with another person. A lot of times in those relationships, we give a pass. I gave passes to them. And every single time I gave them a pass, they kept doing the same thing over and over and over again behind my back. But I was in love with them because they were my first love. They're going to change. And that's the problem. The problem is we think we can change people. The only person that can change someone else is themselves. Now, if you're the type of person that wants to manipulate somebody to change, you could change somebody by manipulating them. But is it the right thing to do? No. It's not worth being with someone that you have to force to be the kind of person you hope they would be. I made that mistake so many times in so many relationships. When I did that, I was devaluing myself. I kept saying to myself, I'm going to find the right one. I would get into one relationship. It wouldn't last. I learned a lot about myself. I started learning that what might work with your parents isn't necessarily what is the right thing that's going to work in your relationships and in your life, because different generations, they have different things that they just did. But there's a lot of things that now I realize in a relationship, compatibility has a lot to do with integrity. It has a lot to do with self-confidence. It has a lot to do with self-improvement. Self-improvement is when you're with somebody and they're constantly working to build their foundation of who they are from the inside out. Because what shows up on the outside of every person that you meet or you're interested in is their attitude. Are they committed in what they say they're going to do when they're going to do it? How do they talk to you? Do they respect you? Do they value you? Off the bat, if you have children and you meet somebody for the first time, let's say on a dating app or somewhere else, how do they speak about your kids? Or the likelihood that if you were to get in a relationship with them, they would treat your kids just like their own kids. Because a lot of times what I've experienced, what I've heard is from men, they'll get in a relationship with a woman and they will disregard the kid and only focus on the woman, then treat that child from that woman really bad. They're not really there for them. Right there, it says a lot about the guy is I don't care about your kids. I only care about you. And if I only care about you, I only care about your body. I only care about what I can get from you. It may not be the body. It could be what the person has separate from their body. It could be a factor of things. If somebody comes into your life and they're only focused on one thing, but they can't accept who you truly are and what you bring to the table, are they really worth to have in your life? Are they worth bringing around your kids? Because you have the option and the choice to have peace of mind, to have a life where you can enjoy your life. You could share moments, you could share memories with someone else without thinking in the back of your head, is this person going to be faithful to me? Is this person going to cheat on me? Is this person really have my best intentions? And that's something that a lot of people, including myself, when we jump into a relationship, it's like we're in a speeding vehicle going so fast without putting the brakes on. Before it gets too late, it's like, what happened? It's like you're under a spell. Because when somebody falls in love, you make decisions that are of impulse. You don't really think certain things through, if not a lot of things through. And you end up doing things as if you're sleepwalking in a life with someone else. And then as the first month goes by, the second month, then you start seeing things, patterns, or you might start noticing things about the other person that doesn't sit well with you. If you have children, having kids is one of the most precious things that you can have in your life. But bringing somebody into your life that don't really care too much about you enough to care about your kids, that's definitely something to consider, because peace of mind holds more value over someone that just wants to take advantage of you. And it's a terrible thing. It's addicting to be with someone and think that what they have to offer is the best in the world. Have you ever separated yourself from being in a relationship and given yourself time to really think, to really process things, to discover you, to find yourself without somebody else, and to build a life that you're proud of? You could wake up every single day knowing that this is a new opportunity for me to do something right, to make a little change here, or to improve a little bit of something here. And each and every day when you take a step forward, you're molding your life, you're building up a stronger foundation. So when you do bring somebody into your life, you will not have to go through and experience what you did if it was bad with your first love. If you were able to make it with your person, that first person that you ever had an experience with, that's an amazing thing. That's very rare to be someone that has been able to sustain a first love relationship. I know I wish I would have if it was possible, but I'm glad that I didn't, because I wouldn't have been able to learn a lot about myself, and I would not have been able to learn everything that I know about love now, like what really is true love. And what I've come to with the relationships that I've been in, I heard this saying, when you truly love somebody, you can let them go. And I thought about how letting someone go is the opposite of really loving somebody. But is it really? If you have a rose in a garden and you water it with too much water, you smother it. If you tend to it at the right time and you allow it to grow and you water it daily, it'll last a very long time. The more you smother someone, the less they're going to be able to live and thrive as themselves. There's a dating show that I just recently watched, and you see these contestants, they go on a retreat and they're there to find love. And a lot of what I saw on this show is people that had anxiety, and they were all thinking about what could go wrong. And some of them were wishing, oh, it's been great. We haven't had any arguments. I'm waiting for our first argument. That is not what I would be looking for. Uncertainty in one individual can affect the whole flock. On that show, when one was behaving a certain way, the other ones followed. When you're in a relationship with somebody and there are friends, just like there was on this show, they were disencouraging their friend and telling them things to try to manipulate their mind into not being with that person. They were like, we don't accept them. But whose decision really is that to make? So in these relationships, starting from the first love, the outer part of that circle between you and that person together have an influence over your life. And if your friends have more of an influence over your life and your relationships, then you're not ready to actually be in a relationship. Because when everyone else is dictating what you should be doing, you're indicating to your person, I'm not independent. I don't make my decisions. I have to fit in. I have to be accepted. My friends are going to leave me. They're not going to want to be around me no more. Having friends that don't support you, that don't encourage you, that don't want the best for you, put the ball in their court and allow them to work through things, because it's not my decision for them. They would come to me and then they would ask me, well, what do you think? I'll give my opinion and what I think. Then I'll tell them, it's up to you. What do you truly want in the relationship with this individual? What do you notice in this relationship? Is this something you see long term? I would think about my own relationships, and I would think about other relationships that I've seen where two people are disconnected from each other. You start off in a relationship with somebody, then over a period of time, it's like it fades. You're in the relationship and then it's almost like you become acquaintances. There's distractions. I have to go out and do things with my friends, but you're not invited. Or I have to excuses. It's not a bad thing to go out and hang out with friends. But if somebody is looking for something long term and you're already dismissing the fact that you don't want that person there with you, what's the true reason you don't want them there with you? And I'll tell you this, I've been out and I've seen these groups of people together. It's been guys or it's been female or women. And I hear the conversations and I can't believe what I hear. And I'm thinking to myself, that makes a lot of sense. They don't want them to hear how they speak about the other person, or they don't want the other person to know they're talking to somebody else. So if my person isn't there, then I have nothing to worry about, because they don't really have a relationship with their friends. It's kind of like you're on the sideline. I might be with you, but I want my independence to where I'm playing both sides. It's very painful when you're in a relationship and you're invested. It's an investment. When you choose to give your time to someone, they're involving themselves in situations that in the end destroy your trust. I know my trust was destroyed in my first love. It took me a while before I could recover from that, because it's hard. I gave up so much of myself in that relationship. I had to find myself again. When I think about love and what love means, love is integrity. It's doing what's right when no one's looking. It's commitment. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it, because my word is my bond. And instead of telling you what to do, I'm going to be who I am. And if you don't accept it, it's okay. I can't change you, and I'm not looking to change you at all. Why would I? You are you, and you deserve to be the person that you truly are. When it comes down to love, if I don't love me, then how can I love you? And that's where I had this moment where that was it. I notice when I walk around and I see people in relationships, it's the phrases. I'm nothing without you. I don't know what I would do without you. I can't live my life without you. You are my everything. Self-sacrifice. That means I'm nothing without you. That's soul wrenching, because that means I'm codependent of you. If you're not in my life, then I'm nothing. Who am I? Can't exist. And then that's when you get in the territory where people, they have these ruminating thoughts and it really affects them in a way to where they need help from themselves, because they've fallen into love where they've trapped themselves believing that they're no good without having somebody else in their life to fill the void of love. If I don't love you, then I don't love me, because I have to first love me. I have to first love me so I can share that love with you. When we're born into this world, normally we have a mother, and we have the affection, the love, the caring from a mother. And also we have an example of a father. Only speaking from typically, that's what it is, where, you have the supportive parents that show you love, that show you care, that are there to guide you in life to make decisions on your own. And that's an example. That example, what you see with your parents, it leads into how you act and behave in your own relationships. Coming from these relationships that I've been in, a lot of what I've heard been daddy issues. It really affected me. It was like, man, if I had a daughter, I would want to do the opposite from what most of these women have experienced with their father. I started realizing another thing about myself. You can't save everyone. And a lot of the people that I ended up falling for or wanting to be in a relationship with were the ones that I wanted to show them love, real love. But because they never experienced real love, they would always bring things up as if it was a personal attack against what they didn't get from their father. I've seen that too with men in reverse, where what they didn't get from their mother, they direct that to the person that they're with. And it's never a good thing, where they see how the father treated the mother, and then that tends to show up in that relationship, in their relationship. It's terrible. When I really think about falling in love, I don't really think that's really a good word. Love is an action. Love is something you do. Love is something you show by example. You could love somebody that you don't even know. It's a different kind of love. It's pure love. Pure love is when you can do something from the heart without expecting anything in return. It's just who you are. You could be a loving person, a caring person, but a lot of times you pour yourself into the wrong people and then you end up dry. You end up where you regret loving certain people. You regret pouring yourself out and not getting nothing in return. But really what it is it's spending too much time on the wrong person and then discovering after a long period of time that there was nothing reinvested back into the relationship they had with you. So you were emptying out your cup and they were taking whatever you had to give, but they were never giving back. I spoke about past selves, and I've also talked about future selves. And once you're in a relationship with someone and they're choosing to live in their past, they blame you for things that you didn't do or didn't say. It's opening and creating wounds that never existed. For some, it's for attention, to see how you're going to act, to test you. Nobody needs to be in a relationship with somebody where they're constantly testing you to see how you're going to act or respond because they're insecure themselves. Insecurity is like a virus that when it's present, if it's not addressed by that individual, it leads to a lot of pain over a period of time, and peace of mind goes out the window. You're not able to comfortably feel at peace when you're with somebody that wants chaos and they give confusion. Somebody that constantly wants to argue with you, constantly finds something wrong, always belittling you or pointing the finger at you. Those types of people want to be in control, because once the person has your emotions in their hands and you do as they say, now if you don't respond in a way to where you walk away from them, not only have they lost respect for you, but now they know that they can get away with things. So every time they test you and you let it slide, now it's like, okay, I can get away with that. I could do it. It's like people that have cheated and then all of a sudden they said, I won't do it again. Months pass by, you forgive them, then you find out unknowingly that they did it again. And they try to say, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know. If they truly had self-control and they did care and it hurt them enough, they're not going to do it again. In order for someone to not do something, they have to go through something traumatic in their life that the experience was painful. If what they did was not painful enough of embarrassment, of shame, and they do it again, it says a lot about their character. And it also says a lot about how they respect you and how they see you as an individual, that they can get away with things and you'll just give them a pass. I know I've done that, and I'm glad that I did, because it's like a chisel. It's like every single time that I've been in a relationship, I would go into it blindly like so many people. But through every experience that you go through, you may not end up in a relationship to where it's always the same thing. There's something new. But when you start losing who you are as a person, from who you were to what you become, makes a difference. If you get into a relationship with somebody and you start changing so much to the point to where you don't even recognize yourself, that's a red flag. Why am I giving myself away to this person when they're not treating me with respect, when they're not showing me that I truly matter, when they don't have the best intentions for me like I do for them? And a lot of times it's because those people find compromise to be something to take advantage of. One of the phrases that I hear a lot is you need to compromise in relationships. If you had a security system and it was compromised and other people can see into it, meaning it's compromised, does that make you feel comfortable that you've had to compromise so much to where now you have no privacy? Compromise is when there's a vulnerability that you as an individual and the other person as an individual are trying to negotiate, coming together with something. But if you make a decision and that decision is not who you are as a person, but you're doing it because you want to make them happy, the more you do something to make someone happy over and over, you're losing pieces of yourself. You're giving them away. Of yourself. You're taking parts of yourself and you're giving it away. What happens when there's nothing left to give away? Who are you then? I had that experience where I gave everything away of me and I didn't recognize who I was. How did I get here? Why did I allow this to happen? When you care so much about people and you have a heart, it's not something you really think about when you fall in love. But also if you don't want conflict, who wants conflict? If you don't want to have arguments with somebody, that's also another thing that creates where you're giving yourself away. You want to say something, but you don't say something. because you're fearful of how they might react or respond. You don't want to lose something. You don't want to lose that person because they're the ones that make you feel loved, that make you feel appreciated when you don't appreciate yourself, when you don't love yourself. They give you what you wished for yourself. But when you find love, you find you. And when you find you, it opens up a whole new world in any relationship that you want to share with someone else. Because if that other individual did not find themselves, then being with you is something to where they're filling their own cup with what you have to offer, but they don't really have much to offer because they never discovered who they truly are from within. They find love on the outside of them without giving it to themselves. That saying again, I'm nothing without you. Let that sink in, because it's definitely something that so many people say, if this relationship doesn't work out, I'm done. And then they go do something that hurt themselves. That's very terrible to think about that. But what about you? Because you are enough and you do matter. And no matter what anybody tries to tell you as a person, you go through things. You learn from mistakes. If you don't learn from your mistakes, then it's a choice. If we choose the choice of ending up in the same relationships over and over again, do we really love ourselves enough to take the time to really ponder what matters most in my life? What can I do for me to where I can share something? I could share my happiness with somebody. I want to share my happiness with someone else or others. It could be a community of people. I want to invest. I want to give to the community. It's not always a relationship with one person. A lot of times when you get in a relationship with somebody, it cuts off access to every other person you can be as a friend, because this person is jealous. They want you to themselves. You can't have any other people in your life. That's it. You're with them and that's it. Now you have control issues with someone. That takes part of your identity. And when you have no control of yourself or your life, your hands is in their hands. Your life is in their hands. No one should be in a relationship where you don't and can't make any decisions on your own and be happy with an individual. You should be able to be happy when you're in a relationship and it feel like the first time you met them over and over again. The longer that you obsess over an individual, it could lead you down a path to where there's nothing left of you. If that's not truly something that you want for yourself, really think about, when was the last time that you had a talk with yourself? When did you really discover you and love you the way you were meant to be loved? Because when you can love yourself humbly, you can appreciate and have gratitude for so many different things, even experiences that happen in your life, without holding grudges over people. You're able to see things differently from a different perspective, and you'll be grateful that things didn't work out with certain people. You don't have to sacrifice your life because something didn't work out with somebody. It's better when something doesn't work with someone, because now you have the opportunity to make a different decision and take a different path. That's definitely something that matters a lot in relationships, is discovering who you are and what you can become.